Welcome to the Worst of the Riot podcast. Monday, October 30th. That's Halloween Eve edition. And there is some Halloween talk today. If you stick around to the end of the podcast, you'll hear the debate, trick or treat versus trunk or treat, or why not both?
We also talk about some Halloween plans with Nikki. Get an update with her about what she's doing that might be a little bit spooky.
And near the beginning of the podcast, you will experience a discussion about how people's habits when it comes to spending are changing. And perhaps Isaiah and I aspire to make these changes as well, even though we are struggling with it. Good show today.
And we'll catch up with y'all soon.
Can't wait. Catch you next time.
You won't hear a show like this anywhere else. And that's probably for the best. The Worst of the Riot, Radio U.
Some new info has come out that says that more and more people are dialing back their spending on certain things. They call it here micro treats. Supposedly, we're dialing back our spending on micro treats. That's stuff like eating out at restaurants every once in a while. Or say going to the movies, things of that nature, like just the little smaller fun stuff you would do on a day-to-day basis. We're dialing back on that so that we can save up and then splurge on once in a lifetime bigger ticket experiences like epic concerts or special vacations.
Is there a name for those? Because I mean, obviously we have the micro treats. Are those called like macro experiences or something cool?
That's a good idea. Macro experiences. I don't know if that really sums it up.
Doesn't sound cool enough.
They just really call it once in a lifetime experiences here. And this is a study that was done in Australia. They're chalking this up to the researchers. National Australia Bank was in charge of this research. I guess they're keeping track of everybody's spending. They are chalking it up to the COVID pandemic and the lockdowns that went along with it.
Well, aren't we calling everything that?
Yeah,
isn't that why everything's happening?
Well, let's
due to COVID.
They say that because people were locked down for a while, they felt like they were missing out. So it was a generational shift that after the COVID-19 pandemic, people are trying to make up for lost time and realize how much they feel like they missed out on once you don't know what you have until it's gone. Yeah. You don't know how fun it is to take in a once in a lifetime experience until you go 1 or 2 years without being able to have a once in a lifetime experience.
If that ain't the truth.
But that said, we're not making any more money, so we're having to dial back on the little things so we can save up for the big things.
Do you think that you've adopted this strategy?
In theory. In theory, I would like to say that, yeah, because to me, I do have that philosophy that taking a big vacation and having something to look forward to and stuff that you'll remember, like that's one thing for me. I feel like I remember vacations, but you aren't going to remember all the 18 times you go to McDonald's in a month. And so in theory, yes, I think I support this and try to do it, but in practice, I still really like also getting Popeyes, so it's tough.
Yeah, it's one of those mixtures of like if I don't do like much for a week, like 4 weekdays, I'm like, dang, I saved a lot of money. But then I think about all those micro expenses, they would have accumulated to like $25 if I go to McDonald's every day. So then I'm like, well, I'm $25 closer to a trip to South America.
Yeah, right.
Which is gonna take a lot more weeks of me being that good.
Yeah, so it's hard to stick to that because again, like I think the vacations and the big moments, I always like those landmarks as something to look forward to. But if they're so far away, you need things to look forward to throughout your week, and that's where all the micro treats come in. So
I love a good micro treat.
Yeah, so
there's nothing better than on like a Tuesday night where you're just like sitting at home watching a movie, being like, you want to go get this, you want to go get that. Maybe we should get ice cream. Maybe we should do this. And those are like the best nights.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard, even though, again, those aren't the most individually memorable, but they do make life a little easier. So I don't know if I really practice this, but It's a theory I support.
Nobody does it better. The Riot Radio U.
This one really hits home for me. It's what's something that you memorized when you were younger and have no use for anymore. It's just filling up space in your brain. It's not helping you in any way. And to me, this feels I memorized a lot of things when I was a child that don't help me anymore, particularly from just watching all kinds of ESPN and soaking all of that information up at that time. And now, how does that help me? You know what I'm saying?
It doesn't at all.
How does it help me knowing defunct lacrosse teams? It doesn't help. It's not going to. I always think about the Columbus Land Sharks used to play indoor lacrosse. What is that doing for me now? Nothing. 8772 Radio U. This could be stuff that doesn't even, on its face, that was clearly, even at that time, unnecessary information. But I think you're taught a lot of things in school, too.
How about Roy G. Biv?
That's another one that jumped to mind.
People know what that is, huh?
Yeah. Roy G. Biv. That's how you memorize what the colors of the rainbow are in order. Is that really information that's really necessary at this point?
PEMDAS. A lot of people know that one, too.
I've heard that. What is that?
That's like how you work through an equation. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, divisions, addition, subtractions.
I can see how in some kind of line of work that could be helpful. What about?
Unless you have a calculator. If you're doing your work on paper, which for whatever reason we all did as children.
Yeah, right. What about this one? This is another like, I don't know. What do you call it? The things. See, this would be helpful information to know what you call the things that are like abbreviations or whatever that you use to memorize things. Shortcuts. If you ever need to memorize. This is one for the planets. My very easy method just sums up new planets. 9 planets, I mean. Read that wrong. You ever heard that one?
I never heard that one. I don't have the planets memorized. Nicole says the periodic table. That's a good one.
Well, you have that memorized?
I'm sure a lot of people that did like sciencey stuff in college.
We had that posted in our school room at home, the periodic table. I don't remember very much of it at all.
Amanda says the preamble of the Constitution. I know that one too. I know the song, "We the People, in order to form a more perfect union."
That sounds like that could still be helpful now.
The preamble of the Constitution.
Yeah, like it's.
When am I gonna whip that out and people are gonna be like, "Whoa!"
Kind of like a little. No, just like a little. When you think about the United States and you think about like who you're gonna vote for or something, you can think, well, the preamble, like this is what we're shooting for here. I don't know.
No, useless.
A helpful mission statement is how I would put it. Got a lot of texts coming in. I think we should let people text a few more and see what they're saying coming up next. 8772 Radio U. Something useless you memorized when you were younger that you still remember now. We'll find out a few more useless. I mean, this is useless knowledge is what it is.
This is Radio U's Worst of the Riot.
The question right now is, what's something useless you remembered when you were a child, like something you had to memorize that is still stuck in your head now, even though it doesn't help you in any way? Did you ever learn this? Isaiah Sean says, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species.
I don't know that one.
That's how like the animal family tree. Like
the animal family tree.
Yeah, like it starts at kingdom, and then you split it up into phylum, and then you split it up into class, and then order. He says the teacher didn't even put that on the test. So that wasn't even helpful at that time. Forget about now as a grown-up. I also see somebody who says 80 digits of pi. But even in school, you never went past 3.14.
Yeah.
In what scenario do you need to know more than those numbers? Do you know the next digit of pi after 4?
159.
Are you sure about that?
I'm 100% positive.
Why do you know that?
Because everybody knows that 3.14159.
That sounds right to me. Regina says this is when she was a child, she was really into Shirley Temple. So she memorized the song Good Ship Lollipop. You know that one?
Yeah.
Some of it, not the way Regina does.
Yep.
But she said she had a moment come up recently where she had to sing it. That for me is country music, except I didn't do it intentionally. But like the Shania Twain and Brooks and Dunn songs that my mom had on all the time. Now you put one of those on, I still know all the words, even though I didn't even choose to memorize that. I just heard it so much. Emily says, never eat sour watermelon to memorize the order northeast, southwest. Why do you need to memorize that order?
I'm not
What is
sure.
that an order for?
Well, that's just so you know all 4 of them.
Yeah, because Emily, I need more explanation on this one.
We were talking about the preamble. Jim says, useless. The preamble to the Constitution. Why was this country founded? What is the purpose of this country?
Exactly.
Well, why do I have to have it memorized?
If you want to be a real patriot, a good citizen.
I'm not saying the preamble of the Constitution is useless, Jim. I'm just saying that I don't need to have it memorized. Do you have it memorized? I assume you must with a text like that.
Yeah, that's right. And
I assume everybody walking around just has that memorized.
It informs his every decision.
Are you even a U.S. citizen if you don't have that memorized?
What about this then? Is this useless along those lines? Is the Pledge of Allegiance useless?
Well, you have to be able to do that in school.
Yeah.
Right? You would look really silly if you didn't have it memorized in school.
Well, you can
now
just
on a day-to-day
move your
basis,
mouth a little bit. And
well, yeah, but when you were a child,
you didn't want to get caught faking that.
if you were the only one that didn't know it, you would look
But
ridiculous.
that's what this whole thing is, right? It's things that you might have needed to use when you were a child. Now you definitely don't. When would we ever say the Pledge of Allegiance?
But wouldn't it feel like if you didn't know the Pledge of Allegiance now as an adult, if it ever did come up, let's say it came up one day, you would look really silly that one day.
Yeah.
Whereas if somebody said, do you know the preamble? Most people don't, so you wouldn't look silly. If you didn't know the Pledge of Allegiance, people would be like, what were you doing as a kid?
Yeah.
Like, what happened to you?
Trying to think of more, because my mind is
There's a lot of
filled.
ones when like reading music, if you were like in choir, there were ones, so like you knew like all the letters. I think one of them was
all
home.
the keys or?
One of them was home, the notes.
Oh, the notes.
For like actually reading music. Was it
Yeah.
home? Was that it? No, it wasn't home. I don't even remember what it is now. I had it memorized at one point to read music.
I'll tell you, I wish I knew how to read music now. I never learned. I never learned when I was in school and in like choirs.
It was like elephants go bouncing down freeways. How you like me
There
now?
you go.
That's one of them. That's one of them.
And I could use that now if you taught me it.
You could if you wanted to play music.
I do. I would love to. I don't know. You know, the funny thing for working on a station and that plays music, and I'm very much obsessed with music, but I don't know the technical side of it at all.
The other side was face. The other one was face.
As in?
FACE were the other notes. They were in between the spaces where elephants go bouncing down freeways. That was on the lines. That's how little I know about music, but I remember that.
You know more than me. 8772 Radio U. If you've got any useless knowledge you learned when you were a kid that doesn't help you at all now, but it's still stuck in your head.
Oh, hi there.
This worst of the riot.
Crank that up.
Radio U.
You know, there's a lot of talk about, obviously, trick or treat for most places. It's going to be tomorrow. But there's also something, Isaiah, did you experience this ever as a child? Trunk or treat?
I never had trunk or treat. I always went from house to house.
Yeah.
I never got to do the whole parking lot thing.
That's kind of surprising to me because, I mean, you grew up in a kind of rural area, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
But did you live in a neighborhood, though, even though it was out more in the country?
I lived in the country. We would drive into town and park.
Oh.
And then we'd go house to house in the town.
Wow. Yeah, see, I would think, and this is why I did experience trunk or treat as a kid, is because living out in the country where you have to drive somewhere anyways, and even then, like, what are you going to drive into a town you don't live in, I guess? But we did trunk or treats a few times because then everybody real in close proximity. You don't have to walk so far between houses. It's just kind of more candy per step if you do trunk or treat.
Does it feel the same? The trunk or treat?
No, because it's over so quickly.
That's what I was going to say, because everybody parks their car, you just go bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like walking up to every house, you're always kind of nervous.
Yeah. I mean, trick or treat usually, like if you want to go the full, you can go hours trick or treat.
Yeah. Long time.
It's a whole escapade. But trunk or treat is like you could be done in 15 minutes, really, and have just almost as much candy, but be done in 15 minutes. I think trunk or treat might be more fun if you're handing out candy because
it's quicker.
It is quicker. There's less of a like, all right, let me go back to the couch. Oh, no, there's another kid. Oh, let me go back to another kid. It's just it's all quick and easy. And at trunk or treat, you know what people do? They like decorate up their trunks, do different themes and stuff like that. So that can be kind of fun if you're into that sort of thing.
What do you think about this, though? So if you're trunk or treating, right now, Halloween, what always happens every year, the weather's always terrible. It's rainy usually.
Yeah.
It's wet. It's starting to get cold outside.
Uh-huh.
So if you're doing trunk or treat, I don't know why you wouldn't just do it inside.
Well, that wouldn't feel right, would it?
But I mean, I feel like it makes more sense. If you're doing trunk or treat and you're just going trunk to trunk,
yeah,
you might as well just go booth to booth in an auxiliary gym.
Yeah, I guess you could do that instead. I'm sure some people do.
You would. I mean, if it was raining outside, maybe when I was a kid, maybe I wouldn't care about the rain. I don't know. I feel like it would still be. It's always wet.
You get soggy.
It's always wet on Halloween, man. It's never a good weather. And so I feel like for tomorrow night or whenever your Halloween is, whenever your trick-or-treating is, I feel like you're either going house to house or I'd rather be inside.
Well, the fun thing about trunk or treat, too, one of the positives of engaging in it is oftentimes, in fact, I would say most of the time, trunk or treats are going to take place on a different night than actual trick or treat night.
Oh, so you could double down,
yeah,
maybe.
double down. Yeah, and
I love a good double down.
You get a nice little list of the trunk or treats in town, and all of a sudden, like if you're a kid that really is committed to candy, you could really end up with a big haul.
Did you trick or treat with your family or with your friends?
Family.
Family, yeah. Me too, mainly. I think I remember one year where I went with just my friends in middle school. But I think other than that, I went with my family every year.
If you had to do it all over again, you wish you could hit some trunk or treats?
No.
I
think maybe like a one time. I think there was maybe a trunk or treat that was like on the path of all of the trick or treat.
Now that'd be a nice bonus.
So like we went into like a church parking lot and there was like, oh, there's a trunk or treat set up. And I was like, oh, we hit the mother load.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Candy and pamphlets.
We've been going house to house. All of a sudden, now we're going trunk to trunk and we're just getting a little bit of everything.
Yeah, that's hitting the mother load right there.
If you like that video, there's a ton more. Go check out our past videos and subscribe so you don't miss what we do next.